What's up, guys? It's Eventon here. So apparently the new dev blog update just dropped. Me and a lot of other content creators have been patiently waiting for this update to come. I've not pre-read this or anything like that. I've actually even put on some of my favorite music from back in the day when I used to like mining, which was Below the Asteroids. But anyway, we'll go ahead and read through this from extraction to production. So this is what they said. In July, we mentioned a shortage phase was ending in Q4. Yada yada, the introduction of new ore, a gas compression to better facilitate the newly decoupled industry changes. I think for the most part, I'm not sure if this is going to drop the actual gas and moon prices down a tiny bit, just because you can compress it and move it more efficiently, at least like in its raw form. But I'm kind of curious to see how that kind of plays out. Balance paths for all ships, additional specialized holds for all gas and ice holds. So I've done a lot of theory crafting. I made a video, gosh, like probably 9 months ago at this point, talking about the possible like Orca and Rorqual changes. I've done some about the barges and exhumers. I've also done some about the expedition frigates as well as the Venture. Those are more recent. I have yet to do like an updated version of the Porpoise, Orca and Rorqual just yet, but we'll kind of see how this plays out. As part of the update, we built and expanded upon full transition into the redistribution phase with a comprehensive update of mining, balance paths to industry, including the above points and more. Okay, I'm going to try and read through this somewhat quickly. I'm not going to read this word for word verbatim, but I kind of want to just kind of highlight the main points. The update introduces more raw materials into New Eden, compression for gas, ice, okay. Updates to mining and mining crystals, and a rebalance of the Orca and Rorqual as well as other mining ships. While the Orca and Rorqual will no longer be the best solo mining platforms, which I know the Rorqual was, I'm not sure the Orca, I don't know, like if you had maxed out Orca skills as well as mining drone yield and everything like that, I still think you were falling short of some of the exhumers. Maybe with the exception of the skiff, but like if you did full yield Mackinac, and definitely if you did full yield Hulk, like you were still not going to be there, but it was not too far behind. They're receiving a buff to their command bonuses and adding new roles. I'm kind of curious how that works. Doubling resource of quantity or an asteroid belts, all amber kernite. Okay, I think I might have skipped something. It's imperative. Okay, so there is a forum thread where they do want to kind of get feedback. They encourage capsulers to kind of dive in and get this. As of today, we've got changes on Singularity test server. So everything is on the test server right now. We encourage all capsulers to dive in, explore the changes, enjoy the discussion in the official forum thread. I'll probably be making a video of me testing out some of these new ships because I can pretty much fly them all except for the Rorqual. I'll admit I have not flown the Rorqual. I've never done it, and I think we can all agree about 99.9% of the player base can't fly the Rorqual either, so I'm kind of skipping over that. But I'll probably do jump in the test server at some point and do a run of some of the changes they made. Doubling resource quantity of ore and asteroid belts, all amber, kernite, and crocite. Quantities are doubled in sob anomalies. Interesting. Ice belts on top of the previous 200%. Wow, so actually doubling ice belts again. There's going to be ice everywhere. All the high sec. I'm not sure if there's high sec gas, but yeah, but all the gas sites are getting doubled. Fullerene as well. Double extraction rate of all moons. Wow, that is kind of a big deal. Reduce PEI material requirements for certain subcapital and capital components. Having water for core temperature regulators used in battleship and capital construction. Significant reduction in P4 materials used in capital components. And this is the exact kind of stuff CCP wanted, right? They want to be able to have as many kind of valves and knobs and bits and bobs that they can kind of adjust and change between things like capital ships as well as battleships. Because before it was just raw minerals, and typically if you try to nerf the mineral production or the amount of minerals that were kind of getting injected into the economy, it would kind of nerf or buff some other ships and make them easier or harder to do. But now that they can kind of just turn the knobs on certain products that are also placed into different regions of space, like now it's much easier for them to kind of adjust certain things. So as you can see right here, they're just reducing PI materials for a lot of the products as well. So significant reduction of P4 materials using capital component construction. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I think this is going to make a lot of capital ship industrialists like really happy. Adding new specialized gas to ore holds. T1 industrials. Okay. Honestly, I did not think of that. For some weird reason, I never thought about T1 industrials having specialized ore holds, because as of right now, the only ones that have specialized ore holds are the Galente as well as the Minmatar, and I think the Minmatar have like the ammo hold, which it obviously does not involve industry, but the Galente have ones that can hold minerals, ore, as well as, gosh, there's one I'm forgetting, PI materials, of course. So T1 industrials, I'm really curious to see if they're going to actually add specialized haulers for the Caldari as well as Amar. I thought it was a bit weird that they didn't have them and Galente kind of had everything. I always thought that was kind of weird. Expedition frigates, I mentioned that. I definitely think that the, I believe I said that the, oh my gosh, what was it? I don't have all this stuff pulled up. Actually, let me look it up on my other screen. Sorry if this stuff is a bit scattered. I'm doing all this live. I'm trying to get you guys the content as fast as possible. So the Prospect, I think, will have a dedicated gas hold, and the Endurance might have a dedicated ice hold as well. Not 100% sure on that. T1 barges, specialized gas and ice holds. I'm not sure how I feel about this, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan. If they're going to add these on top of the ore holds that already exist, I'm fine with that. But if they're completely replacing it, like if the Mackinac and the Retriever can only do ice, I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of that. Increasing the resistance profiles of exhumers. This is something I have been saying for a while now. Increasing the base HP. This is something I mentioned very early on, and some like just the EHP of the exhumers in general are just not worth it. Like, you honestly do not get that much extra considering the advanced profile. So this is something I kind of mentioned. Increase the base HP and adding a mid slot to the Coveter and Retriever. Honestly, I'm okay with this. I definitely think they need an extra mid slot, but on top of that, they need to increase the base levels of GPU, so like the power grid as well as the CPU for the Retriever and Coveter, for them to even remotely make use of that mid slot. So they need to increase the base amount of the CPU as well as the power grid if they're going to actually like give these extra mid slots, because honestly, for those mid slots, typically you were putting in either like a multi-spec hardener or like a EM shield amplifier or something like that. And in some instances, like if you didn't put like a third mining upgrade in the low slot, like you could maybe squeeze in like an afterburner or micro warp drive. But usually if you're good with your bookmarks, you don't really need them, right? And once you're in the belt in your spot, like you don't really need the afterburner anymore. So adding new gas harvesters for all mining barges and exhumers. I honestly did not expect this. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about this. I will say this, it's kind of nice to actually see mining ships, like mining barges and exhumers, at least in wormhole space, actually leave their home hole, because a lot of the time it's just simply not worth it to undock your barge and exhumer into other parts of wormhole space, like outside of your home hole. And it's probably the same thing with nullsec too. Like you're mining, you know, outside of like your Athanor or your moon pools. Like there's really no reason to actually take your barges or exhumers like anywhere else in any other system. So I'm not exactly sure how I feel about gas harvesters for the mining barges. Like if they add gas harvesters to mining barges and exhumers, they need to add some sort of low slot module that will either buff the cycle time or something like that for gas harvesters, because then like what else are you going to be doing with your low slots, right? Mining barges and exhumers like do have quite a few low slots, so unless they're going to add some sort of mining module to increase the harvest time, I'm just not sure what else you're going to be doing with those low slots. Someone also mentioned too, maybe the concept of like gas harvesting drones. That could be kind of interesting. But introducing new compact industrial core for the Orca. This is something I did kind of call to quite a while ago, is that they're, ooh, that looks really cool. Industrial cores. Okay, that's actually the Orca. I thought that was the Orca for a second. We'll go ahead and switch back here. So there's a new compact version. I'm not sure if they're actually explaining in here, but there is a compact version for the Orca, which is awesome. Adding compression for pretty much gas and moon ore. That's awesome. I'm not sure, that doesn't involve the industrial core, but that's just for this. So does that mean, I'm honestly not familiar with the industrial cores at all. The compact variation, okay, actually it does describe it here. Will be available for the Orca. Compact version will require a new skill, compact industrial reconfiguration. These changes to industrial cores further reinforce the roles of both the Orca and the Warcall and their effectiveness in supporting their mining fleets. The role is further enhanced with the introduction of moon ore compression for the Warcall, with gas, ice, and regular ore compression for both the Porpoise and the Orca. This is actually a huge deal. So the Porpoise is getting one too. So they can compress, but they But it doesn't seem like the porpoise needs this compact industrial reconfiguration, so that's interesting. So with gas ore compression for both so pretty much the porpoise and the orcan can both compress gas, ice, and regular ore now. That's pretty crazy. So now you can actually have a fleet with a porpoise out gas huffing in wormhole space, nullsec, wherever it is, and you can keep just get it out there, because right now gas is very, very large in size, just in the sense it takes up a lot of like meters cubed up in your ore hold or your gas hold. This has not been previously possible and will offer increased operation runtime and easier transport of gas and ore. And this is another thing too, is it's going to like artificially increase time that you're actually going to be spending out in the belts as well as gas sites, because the less time you're actually transporting stuff there and back, the longer you can stay in the belts, the more money you can get. And also the longer you're in the gas cloud, the more likely you are to get ganked or attacked, right? Because if you're transporting stuff, at that point you're leaving the site, they might have just missed you, or maybe they might have think you're done for the day. But details can be found here, as can be seen discussed before. Orca changing New Eden. What is this here? That is... okay, never mind. That's something completely different and unrelated. So I might dig into that further, but that is crazy. I did not expect the porpoise as well to get changes as well. Okay. It will nonetheless help play a vital role in the space mentioned before, and supporting ship both for boosting fleets and compression. This will mean the war call proliferation in New Eden will be impacted, which will mean more from everyone that is not in a war call unless the scenario... okay, so it looks like they're following this very closely. Huh, okay, so there's new mining crystals as well, standard yield. So there's a type A, B, and C. There's a lower yield, very high waste, very unreliable, and then B type, higher yield, high waste, less reliable. Okay. There's actually certain levels of crystals you can either make that will give you different levels of yield and high waste. Less reliable. So I'm not sure what this less reliable and very reliable thing is exactly, because lower yield and higher yield makes sense. High waste, very high waste makes sense. Like you're going through the percentage of the cycle time, or like the, you know, you're basically breaking it down faster, that percentage. But less reliable and very unreliable, I'm not sure what that means. A-type counterparts. For further information, click here. All right, let's try this. I'm not sure if that's gonna work at all. Does this work? Okay, this isn't working with like the apps that I have for some reason, but I might dig into that information sooner. But this is interesting, and I actually I was not expecting to dig this deeply into all of this. This is so much information. New skills. Okay, so this is with single ore production reprocessing skills will be replaced by a single reprocessing skill per ore tier. I thought they already had this. That, like, if you want to reprocess certain ores and stuff, like, that skills already exist. All right, modules, drones, and rigs. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. There's also a new line of gas harvesting modules. Okay, like I said earlier, that'll be unique to the mining barge and exhumer ship types. The existing gas harvester modules will be renamed to gas scoops. I don't know why I thought that was funny. And the harvester keyword will be used for the barge exhumer equipment. Similarly, in this case, the details of this update are available here. I think it's just gonna keep giving me that error. Like, for some reason, it's gonna... I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Maybe I'll do like an updated video kind of following up with that. But there is details about apparently new modules, drones, and rigs on here. So ships. Mining industrial ships will be receiving a balance update, which will create more clarity between role specializations of different ships. An important component of this balance passes to update to specialized resource holds, which can be boiled down to a few key adjustments. Specialized resource holds. Okay, specialized ore holds will support asteroid and moon ore, including compressed ore. Okay. Specialized gas holds will support all gases, including compressed gases, mica, cyto, fullerenes. Specialized ice holds will support all ice, including compressed ice. Okay. All right, that seems pretty straightforward. So specialized ore hold will just mean you can do moon ore as well as like normal ore. Gas and ice just follows that. Changes to ships with specialized holds can be found here. Some of the highlights. But here are some highlights include... I need to find a way to open this damn thing. Not sure why this is not working. It's probably because I'll have to figure that out later. Hoarder gets a 30k gas hold and relevant bonus. Interesting. I thought that was kind of a bit weird. So the Hoarder, the Primate, I think that's how you pronounce it, gets a 10k ice hold and a 10k gas hold. Interesting. So it's split between the difference, but I feel like it's pretty rare that you're going to be hauling ice and gas like independently. Like in this case, you can see here, like you might as well just use the Cryos or the Hoarder for gas and ice independently. Core temperature regulator, water changes from, okay, so they cut that by half. So it looks like this is just kind of the highlights of cutting all of the industrial changes. Just give me a second. I'm going to try and find a way to cover some of these. Let's see if I just save it and do it like this. I have no idea if this is going to work. It says asking me to use Microsoft. Yeah, I'm getting some issues trying to open that. I have no idea why it won't let me open that. But this is a very big deal. We're actually going to go back to like the home page or like the main page. Condensing all reprocessing skills from 19 individual skills to 6, refunding up to, wow, 13 million skill points will be optionally reallocated to the new categories. ISK will also be refunded at the base price of the deleted skill books. Condensing all mining crystals into the following categories: common, uncommon, rare, superior, abyssal, and mercoxit. Interesting. Introducing mining waste. I really hope this is another... This is just taking me back to this page talking about waste. Additional variants for each crystal. Okay, we already talked about disclaim. All names for new skills modules or placeholders will be updated live on Tranquility. Awesome. Mining waste and resources. So this update will be doubling of resources available across New Indian. This includes all ore quantities are doubled in asteroid belts. All ore quantities are doubled in all resource anomalies. All quantities are doubled for ice. Amber, I think didn't they already say this up here? Yeah, they kind of put a footnote of it, and I guess this is just kind of reiterating it. So everything is basically being doubled. Extraction rate is doubled from moons. So now when you do moon pulls, you're gonna get, but okay, we'll take the same time as before, but we'll yield twice the quantity of ore when fractured. Extractions which are in progress and not yet fractured. At deployment time, we'll receive ×2 yield when they fracture. Okay. Removal of all basic materials from Arfun moon ore. Finalizing the plan of removing basic minerals from moons. I don't do that much. I'm not sure if this is a huge deal or a very minor deal, because I've done some industrial stuff with moon ore, and I have made like a lot of the core temperature regulators and stuff like that before, but honestly I've kind of fallen off doing that recently. What else do we got here? In addition to doubling resources, a new mining waste mechanic will be introduced. Mining waste will create a greater benefit to increasing mining skills and using more advanced modules that lower the rate of waste. This also introduces new gameplay. Okay, so I guess this is to kind of offset the fact that because they're basically doubling the numbers of honestly everything, there is a waste mechanic. I still have not seen anything that said they're actually increasing the yield of things like the exhumers, which is something I wanted, because as of right now, like they only get like a 12 to 15% higher yield compared to their barge like counterparts, which does not seem to be worth it if they are 8 times the price. So yeah, so this introduces new gameplay options. Okay, so introduction of the mining waste probability, which is a chance per cycle for resources to be turned into space dust. Is that the whole cycle? So could you do an entire cycle and it just turns into space dust? That would feel kind of bad. I would like to just see a lower yield rather than just it turning into space dust. Introduction of mining waste multiplier on the mining amount that determines the actual amount being wasted. To put things into context, here's like an example before or below. Mining amount, so 1000 M3, waste volume multiplier, waste probability 100% initial state. This means nothing to me. I do not know what I'm seeing. Waste probability is 100%. Initial state 10. Blue ice amount. After first cycle, 8. Blue ice in inventory, 1. Loss, 1. This makes no sense to me. After first cycle. So does it take away a portion? I don't know. This genuinely means nothing to me. As mentioned earlier, different modules will have different attributes below in the table. Tech 1 modules, expected waste probability. So 100%, is there just like a 100% chance you're just gonna have waste? I'm not exactly sure. Faction modules, 100% or 0% waste probability. That could be a big deal because there are a lot of faction modules for mining lasers, as well as the strip miners and stuff like that that are absurdly priced, and no one like legitimately ever uses them. But this could be a reason to actually start using them, because now you have a 0% chance of probability waste. Then again, I'm not exactly sure how the probability waste exactly works, but also drones seem to have a very high likelihood of waste as well. So, and if Tech 2 modules have a much lower expected probability of waste, like is there a point where now you can use Tech 2 modules without a crystal, and that in some ways is better than a Tech 1? Like, even though the yield is lower, you have less waste. I'm not exactly sure how the waste probability works. Given a significant portion of mining is done using T2 modules, this is an overall net boost to global resource availability. Compression, let's dive into the details of how compression are going to change. Gone are the days of lossless compression. From now on, when you compress resources, some amount will be lost during compression. Will be lost during the process. Compression and stations have a different efficiency depending on the type of resource that is being compressed, except moon compression will not be available. Let me read that again. Compression stations will have different efficiency depending on the type of resource that is being compressed, except moon compression will not be available. So can you not compress moon ore then? In stations, you have to do it in a orca, rorqual, or porpoise. Compression will be instantaneous, but will be less efficient than in space compression. Okay. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misread that. Compression will be instantaneous, but will be less efficient than in-space compression. Okay, that makes sense. So if you're mining in your backyard or in the same system, you might as well haul it back to your station for higher efficiency. Compression efficiency as follows. Ore is 90%, gas 90%, ice is 79%. So that's interesting. I'm not sure. I don't know. Ice compression, that's going to be weird because those are pretty huge blocks. You know, it's strange. So they're doubling. So it seems like with this update, they're doubling the amount of ore and anomalies and all that stuff, but they're offsetting the 100% basically increase of extra ore and minerals and ice and all that stuff by using a lot of these waste probability amounts. You're going to be having additional waste and not getting as much as you should for your time. And on top of that, if you do compress it, there's a chance you are losing a portion of it as well. So I'm not exactly sure. Like, I really, really, really hope they offset this, because it seems like you're just going to have to be in space longer. Like, there's more to harvest, but you're just going to have to be in space longer to actually get the profit, because now there's 2 layers that you can actually start losing yield based off of the waste as well as the compression. So I really, really hope they actually add higher mining yield for the exhumers at the very least. If they don't do it for the others, like, that's fine, but I feel like at the very least exhumers should have higher yield. If people are going to be mining, yeah, there's more stuff around, but now there's 2 layers of just basically losing out yield, like up at the upfront, you know, time when you are mining itself, and then when you compress it, you're also just losing as well. Orca, rorqual, porpoise will be able to do compression in space, but will require specialized modules for it. However, only the rorqual can compress moon ore in space. Okay. See, this is the part that confuses me. Except moon compression will not be available. So does that mean the rorqual is the only one that can do moon compression? I'm confused about the wording of that. Each compression module will be able to compress only a certain group of resources as defined by its tier. This is probably another thing that isn't going to work for me. Moon ore compression modules for all moon ore types are being introduced. Moon ore compression will be unique to the rorqual and will only be available. Okay, so here it is. I wish they kind of just mentioned this earlier instead of just like they say one thing, but then they say another, and it's like, okay, am I misunderstanding this? So moon ore compression modules for all moon ore ships, for all moon ore types are being introduced. Moon ore compression will be unique to the work hull and only available out in space. Okay, so I'm assuming that's comparing it to the... I'm still confused whether you can compress moon ore in stations or not. It seems like... It makes it sound like you can, but also it sounds like the work hull is unique to moon ore compression. But I don't know if that's unique to all structures, or is it just unique compared to the Orca and the Porpoise? Compressed types will now have the same portion size as their uncompressed counterparts. You can calculate the compression ratio by the difference of volume between the two types. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it sounds good. I don't know. Existing compressed types of quantities will be compensated due to this change, such that no loss occurs. Existing compressed quantities will be compensated due to this change, so that no loss. Okay. Not sure what that means, but it sounds like they're going to retroactively change some stuff so no one loses compressed ore when the change happens. New modules. Following compression will be introduced. Compression modules. Okay, so there's just compression modules for the Orca and Porpoise. Okay, so they can all do compression, except Orca can do Moon by itself. Orca and Porpoise can't. The Oracle modules have a higher duration per cycle, but they are more efficient. Fewer resources are lost during compression. For example, mobile abyssal ore compression unit can only compress abyssal ore types. The mobile rare ice compression unit can only compress ice types. Okay, so it's just saying you can only compress... Okay, it's kind of explaining how the compression works, but it's like, hey, you load it in as like an ammo type, you compress it, there's a cycle time associated with it. Probably some of your workload pilots are familiar with how this works. I am not at all whatsoever, so I'm kind of curious to try this stuff out. To accommodate for the new modules, the following skills are being introduced. Okay, more compression stuff. Industrial core, so they did mention that a bit later. Okay, so now we're back at the beginning. So it's actually all one page that this is happening on. For the most part. And I think, how long has this video been going on for? Almost 30 minutes. So this is like my initial reaction and like recap to everything. I would say the biggest highlights for me that really caught me, not necessarily like caught me off guard, but just kind of like in conclusion of all this. And I will definitely be doing follow-ups of this, like either on the test server or kind of digging more into an analysis of like everything that is going on here. But doubling the resource quantity is pretty crazy, but then again, they're adding two mechanics that will include waste, so you have to spend more time out in space in order to actually get the stuff you want. So there's gonna be no shortage of... It sounds like you won't have to travel very far to get the stuff you want, but at the same time, there will be a lot of levels of waste. Some of the T1 Industrials getting some specialized gas and ice holds, I think is pretty cool. I really hope they give some to the Caldari as well as like the Amarian ships, but then again, they would have to add new ships to the game, so maybe I take that back. Like, unless they're adding new unique ships, giving them to like the normal ships, I don't think will work. Expedition frigates. Again, mining barges and exhumers, I'm not sure how I feel about giving them, like having the, like I said, the Mackinac and like the Retriever exclusively ice holds. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Not a huge fan of it, if that is something they do, but again, that's all stuff I'm gonna have to see on the test server here coming up in a bit. Increasing resistance profile of all exhumers, it's about time. By how much, I'm not exactly sure. Increasing the base HP and adding a mid-slide to the Covenant Retriever, I think this is a good change. These two ships are paper thin. It legitimately takes, I think in a 0.5 system, I think a T2 like single catalyst could probably take out a Covenant Retriever, assuming they're not tanked that well. But if they are tanked well enough, I mean, all you need is 2 catalysts, and you can take out both of these ships. So I mean, you're investing what, 6 mil in catalysts to take out something that is worth easily maybe 8 or 9 times that amount. I'm not sure how I feel about the gas harvesters on barges and exhumers as well. I feel like this is going to be kind of bullying out a lot of the, like the endurance as well as the, gosh, the endurance and the prospect. I understand those ships are a bit more mobile, but I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. In my opinion, like giving them gas harvesters. People were talking about it. I honestly didn't think the CCP would do it, but it seems like they are doing it. But I've also seen zero mention of increased yield for either increasing the yield that like the mining modules give, like the mining upgrades. Like I'm surprised they didn't mention anything about either increasing those or just increasing the base amount like per level that like the exhumers get as well as the barges. So it seems like you're gonna have to spend quite a bit of time in space. You're gonna have to add more skills to use some of these crystals. You're gonna have to deal with some of this high waste and like less reliable thing. I'm still not sure exactly what that reliable thing really means. I'm still not sure exactly how this waste mechanic works, but I'm sure I could understand it soon enough. On top of that, there's also the compression, so you're also losing ore as you're doing it. So all the ore that you're mining, you're only getting 90% of it back, not 100%. So you have to take that into consideration. But yeah, and also giving the orca as well as the porpoise. The porpoise is what really surprised me. I thought they would just make an orca exclusive, but the porpoise as well, being able to compress gas is a huge deal. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I will have some follow-up videos, probably running on the test server. I might kind of dig into some of these more, and if I can figure out how the heck I can kind of get some of these additional pages to open up so I can actually see the specifics of the ships and stuff, I will be doing that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys take care and you fly safe.